Morning, buddy. This is Tim. I hope you all doing well today. Today is Thursday, July 10th. I gotta say that last week has been pretty crazy with the amount of rain that we've had in different areas and flood warnings all over the place, especially in central Texas, where there's still like 150 people missing. We had really heavy rain along the southeast coast yesterday and up in the northeast quarter, mid-Atlantic. You can see why the flow is still not very progressive. Flow out, pretty much straight shot from the Gulf of Mexico, pumping moisture all the way up into into Maine. You can see, excuse me, my sinuses are really bad today. System pushing through the upper Midwest right now. On radar, you can see it moving through. Numerous severe thunderstorm warnings, heavy rainfall pushing through that area. High pressure in the desert southwest is being suppressed some right now, and you have another short wave going through the flow. One right here, one here, and see how this will likely dive. The flow is pretty much to the south. I don't think this is really going to progress much to the east today. So these areas are most likely going to favor severe weather today. And you have other Vort Max was like rotating in the flow here, one off the coast to the southeast. I'll take a little closer look at that. And one off the Atlantic coast with looks like another area right coming off of the coast of the Mid-Atlantic, which we saw on radar. Some other upper level energy. There's just a lot of just different upper level energy all over the place on the map here. That being said, we'll talk about flooding first and the flood concerns over the coming days. It's been a huge topic lately. Excessive rainfall outlook for today. Thankfully, not as high risk, but it's highlighting that area right off the coast where this rain is right now, where the flash flood watch is. Let's see what this is. That's a mesoscale discussion for heavy rainfall. Excuse me. Marginal risk in these areas. Now this may be that risk may be for the first part of the day, and this may be for actually today. So let me go back to the WPC so I can take a look here. Yeah, so this is for today with that risk maintained off the coast here. And then day 2, slight risk in the upper Midwest, still marginal risk all on the East Coast, Southeast, also in the desert Southwest, upper Midwest. Day 3, you still have a slight risk up there in the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, in the Southeast, in the deep South into the Mid-Atlantic, and in the high plains, upper Midwest, and touching Texas and New Mexico there. Day 4 and day 5, marginal risks. That really could change as far out, but this is till 12Z. That's what I was showing you on the map that I had up first, right off the coast there, which is till like 8 a.m. Day 1, excuse me, includes those areas I showed you here. Again, slight risk of excessive rainfall within 25 miles of a point in these areas. And like I showed you on the maps. Moving on to as far as precip goes, what we expect in the next 3 or 4 days. The totals. This is the expected amount from the National Weather Service. You see the most is expected up in off the northeast coastline there. With you can see the legend here, giving an idea. But you can see the threat moves up into the upper Midwest, Ohio Valley, and Great Lakes a little bit more accordingly with the precipitoral hazards. You see there's chances of rain each day, and you'd say that the chances of rain are quite high, actually, like at least a quarter of an inch. Last night we had some really intense storms. You see nearly 100% chance, at least. Trying to get this to highlight. Anyway, it's really dark there, so it's near 100% chance of quarter inch, and at least an inch. That tells me there's a real good chance of flooding in that area. Gotta watch out for that. A wide swath, I mean, at least. This is what the National Weather Service uses for determining the precip chances. If it's more than 0.18 expected, that's how they kind of do the percentages, like 20% chance of precip. Again, in the more modeled areas on here, doesn't mean it's going to be all day, but areas where a lot of these precip areas are going to be convectively driven, so it still probably won't be all day, but it could be very intense for quite a few hours. Really kind of concerned about up here in the upper Midwest with all the rain possible. Wow, okay. We'll just have to keep an eye on that. As far as current hazards, we have flood watch in these areas here. Extreme heat warnings. I saw some of the temps got up to like 116 out here yesterday. Heat advisory, extreme heat watch, some dense fog advisories, flood warnings, and red flag warnings for high winds or thunderstorm warnings in different places here in the middle of the country. Moving on to the reserve precip ending yesterday at 8 a.m. You could see going back only 68 hours of the biggest areas of precip were along the Mid-Atlantic, Florida coastline, and this was Chantal. And so, I mean, it really highlights, the areas where we really have the most precip in the, let's say, the past 4 or 5 days, however many 168 hours is. My math is not doing too good today. So, yeah, 6 days. So, that's a lot right there. You see the 10, 15, almost 20 inches of rain down here in Texas. That's just, again, that's horrible. As severe weather goes, for today, there's slight risk, overall slight risk in the Midwest, High Plains, Upper Midwest, marginal risk down to poking in the desert Southwest up into the Great Lakes. 2% tornado risk in this area here, with a 15% chance of high winds, 50 knots or greater within 25 miles of a point. And the rest of these 5% risk of high winds today within 25 miles of a point, 50 knots or greater. The hail risk is also 15%, 5% here. Severe threat moves further to the east, slight risk, marginal risk, general risk of thunderstorms. Again, a 2% risk of tornadoes in the Ohio Valley. Again, 15% chance of high winds, 50 knots on point, 50 knots within 25 miles of point, and 5% risk in those other areas. And the hail risk is confined to the upper Midwest, Ohio Valley area. Day 3, which is, let's see, Saturday through Sunday, we have marginal risks down in the deep south and the upper Midwest and Great Lakes region. We went past that time. SPC doesn't have anything else outlined, at least right now, for the foreseeable future after that. But as we get closer, that may change. So stay tuned. As far as the daily maximum temps, like we talked about yesterday, it's going to be really hot again for most of the country. And the upper Midwest is going to cool off some, but the other Southwest, you can see how hot it's going to be. Very persistent. But even along in the Midwest, the high plains are going to cool off some, but then heat right up again as we go through the period. Really pretty hot, close to almost 100 degrees here in the southeast, which that lead me to believe the heat index values are going to be pretty bad. That's luckily up in the upper Midwest is going to cool off some, but not much relief down here in the southeast. Again, forecast precip chances ending today at 8 a.m. Tomorrow at 2 a.m. You can see what I was talking about. And still up here in the upper Midwest, High Valley, this is where I think you're really going to get hammered in the next 2 days. In the upper Midwest, and you see it starts to fill in a good part of the country with storms just scattered over different areas. And this is probably where this is going to set up. Go back, we can go out 48 hours. The flow probably is going to collapse in this area. That's where really the heavy rain picks up. You see what I'm talking about here. So, but for the southeast, any rain any storms that do come up, like happened a few hours ago here, about 2 a.m., some storms came through and knocked my power out of my house for a couple hours at 2 a.m. No air conditioning stuff, and we had a lightning bolt hit right next to the house. It was loud, man. It could have waken up the dead. But you never know where these storms are going to pop up, and given the high precipitable water values, which means the amount of moisture in the atmosphere, water-laden downdrafts can lead to high winds as that heavy laden column accelerates and hits the ground. So this time of year, that's more likely what would happen with collapsing thunderstorms, things like that, with lack of synoptic flow. That's about it for today. I hope you find this informative. I'd appreciate it. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, please. If you don't mind, that'd be great. Helps get the word out. And if you have any suggestions or just want to talk about something, just let me know. Have a great day.